Hello, everyone, and joining me today at Manaw at the table as we close out season 4 before we go on our summer hiatus is Jody Sloane. She's a Coast Guard veteran, stand-up comedian, keynote speaker, and author with 20 years of experience finding what's survivable and what's surprisingly funny in the hardest parts of being human. Welcome, Jody.
Thank you so much for having me, Martina. I appreciate you having me. This is great.
No, we're thrilled. We're thrilled, and we're looking forward to some great conversation, good laughs, and as I said, we're thrilled to have you as we close out season 4 and take a little break for the summer.
I'm excited to be your last interviewee for the summer.
Yes. So no pressure, Jody.
All right. I do that to myself.
So, I mean, Jody, it's quite a resume. Coast Guard vet, comedian, keynote speaker, author. I actually didn't put in about the duck tour, the duck boats, so we'll have to talk about that. And I know cared for your mom for a period of time. So where did it all start?
I think probably the thing that's had the greatest impact on my life was the Coast Guard. I joined at a young age. I sort of ran away from home to join the Coast Guard, in fact, ish. And so entering very young as a woman or young woman, definitely had an impact on me. It was quite an experience. I was the only female at my unit. I worked at a search and rescue unit after I got out of boot camp. Boot camp in and of itself was something else.
And who did you go to, Jody? I mean, being the only female at a time, really, when, we don't talk about, having your community and, it takes a village. I mean, who did you lean on for support?
Well, doing the job that I did, search and rescue and law enforcement, it's a crew and you become very tight knit. I've always been a tomboy and hung out with the boys, so it wasn't too strange for me, but it certainly when I didn't have a female ally when I was there, it was a little disorienting, I think, but for the most part, I adapted well to what I was dealing with, and probably it molded me in a way that I can sit in just about any room and be comfortable, even if it is a room full of men. I'm grateful for that.
Right. So you felt it really gave you a good foundation for what was ahead.
Yeah, and who knew? But I tend to end up in male-dominated environments. I don't know what that says about me. I'm sure some psychologists would have fun analyzing that.
I'm not going to diagnose you here, Jody, above my pay scale. But,
We don't have enough time.
Right. I'm curious, how do you think it has changed since you were in the Coast Guard? And I suppose
Well,
it specifically
I don't
changed for
know.
women.
They call it the old guard, and it was sort of the old way of thinking. It was when it was Department of Transportation before it became Homeland Security, and it was a boys' club, very much a boys' club. Back then, the guys could actually still have beards in the Coast Guard when I was in. Now, only the women can have beards in the Coast Guard. I'm just kidding. But, that changed while I was in. I did 4 years, and at the 2-year mark, they changed the regulation. The guys had to shave their beards. And that was the beginning of the end of the old guard, where it sort of was cleaning up its act, if you will, and not wanting to be so rough around the edges. And I do think the fact that women were in was the reason for that. And so you're talking about changing the way things are because of a new, we weren't new to the Coast Guard, but we were more and more of us coming in. And that's why a lot of those changes were being made. And you can imagine that it wasn't received so well. So there were some challenges with attitudes about having women in and changing um, y- just what it was and what it used to be for them. It was a boys' club and it was changing.
Right. But and do you feel, Jody, you were part of that change, or do you look back and say, wow, I contributed a little bit to this?
Well, I think that I sort of was more of a chameleon and morphed into what they wanted or needed from me rather than try and pull them towards me. And I think I'm probably not great for the feminist movement, or wasn't back then, but I was very young and very impressionable. And some of those attitudes and opinions, I have now that I didn't have then, about maybe where I should have stood up a little more or voiced my opinion about things a little more. But you want to fit in, you want to get the
Right.
job done, all of that. And you're working at over 100%. to their 70%, not saying they worked at 70%, but they couldn't get away with it. I always had to be working harder than them just to feel like I was measuring up to them,
R
if that
right,
makes
and I think
sense.
oh, no, absolutely. I mean, you could really say that across the board about any profession,
I think so.
that, and for probably now, women just have to work that little bit harder.
Yeah.
Jody, what would you say were, some of the highlights of being in the Coast Guard? Like, what do you
I
think, what brings a smile to your face when you think of those days?
I absolutely loved the job that I did. It was it was, high stakes, high energy, search and rescue and law enforcement. Granted, I was in the Chesapeake Bay. I was not out on the high seas or anything like that. But I mean, you could get squalls and some weather in there for sure. So that was
My
a challenge that we dealt with frequently. But I enjoyed dealing with the public, and I loved, we put out fires, we saved lives, if people fall into the water from their vessel or their vessels aground, or put out many fires. It was exciting. I mean, that's exciting work, and I loved it.
Good. And then you talk about, now you just mentioned about dealing with the public, and I mean, you think that thread has kind of followed you all through your professional life. Your jobs have, since the Coast Guard have been, are public, people facing. So, you were in the Coast Guard. Then, how long did you stay in, and then where did you go after that?
I did 4 years, and I did everything in reverse in life. After the Coast Guard, I went to college. Most people don't do it in that order, but I did. And I went to UMass Boston
Okay.
and studied environmental sciences and minored in theater while I was there.
Okay.
And I had a great time there because I ended up running a research vessel for UMass Boston, because I ended up getting my 100-ton license, operator's
Oh,
license, after I got out. So I ran a research boat for them for a while, and I also worked at the sailing program. So, I got to stay on the water still and enjoy that side of myself while I was attending college. So I felt very lucky in that.
okay. That's impressive to have your 100-ton USCG operator's license.
Thanks.
Do a lot of women have that, Jody?
I don't know. I have no idea
Yeah.
what the numbers are.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Yeah.
many of us. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that there's not. Yeah, it was a difficult test. I don't know how I did it, to be honest with you.
Good for you. And then
Thank you.
after you messed is, I mean, you had a long then tenure with the duck boats.
Yeah, I ended up at Boston Duck Tours, and I was there for 15 years as a conductor. That's what they call them, where you wear the costume and you're narrating the tours and you're driving and narrating. And so, yeah, a lot of, dealing with the public again. I do have a kind of weird relationship with people where I want to be around them and then I'm exhausted by them. So I don't know if you relate to that.
I don't know. Do you think yourself, are you a bit of what is it? A bit of an introvert? No, what
Uh,
is it? Is it oh, actually, I think it's called an omnivert. Is it that you
They
like
have a
people, but
word,
then you like
outrovert.
what?
I think it might be omnivert. I did see the word outrovert as being
Oh, no, that's
something where
okay.
you can be
Okay.
in the public, but then you're like, I gotta go away
I
now.
gotta
You
go. Yeah, I've had enough.
and you're like, I gotta read for every hour I'm with people, I need 2 to recharge kind of thing. Because I'm all in. I mean, I'm all in when I'm out
Yeah.
there.
And the duck tour, I mean, having been on it several times when people come to visit me from Ireland, I mean, it's high energy, each group that comes on, it's a new group and, they're hearing that information for the first time. So, I mean, as you said, you have to be all in, every hour
Yeah,
you're on there.
it was exhausting work. And the hard thing is, we used to say it's like the movie Groundhog Day, where you're saying a lot of the same history over and over 5 times a day. So the interaction with the people and the comedy that you would infuse in it were the things that kept it fresh and kept you really from, wanting to take your own life at the end of the day. I'm being
Oh, we're glad you
honest.
didn't do that, Jody.
Sorry, I shouldn't joke about it, but it could become a grind if you didn't know how to do it right, I think.
Yeah, no, no, I agree. And you have obviously had a lot of fun, Jody, doing
I
the
did. I had some amazing experiences. And I had one, I don't know if I can talk about this with you or you want to talk about it, but it was
yes,
it's actually in the book. This is the most important. You mentioned that I'm an author. I have a new book
yes.
that's going to print next week. And one of the stories in it is about a group from Ireland who came on the
Oh,
tour.
I
Do
want
you
to
want
hear.
to?
Come on.
All right. Okay, so this was years when I first started, 5 years into the job. I had, I'm wearing this silly outfit and I walk up on the duck and the people on the back, I said, "How are you guys doing today?" I know it's a group, like it's not like a mix of different public, it's a group. And they looked at me and they grumbled and they said, "Why don't you ask the people up front? They seem to have all the answers." And I said, "Oh boy, something's going on here. I don't really know what to make of this, but I'll I'll either do my job and not worry about it or I'll figure it out." So I go up and I do my spiel about being my character's a Southern belle and I talk about the war of Northern aggression and I hear more grumblings. I'm like, I don't know what's happening on this duck right now. So finally I said, what are you people? What are you doing here? Who are you? Why are you here? And what they told me was that they were representatives from Ireland. They had come to Harvard School of Government to talk about the conflict
Oh,
and see what could be resolved.
okay.
And
Okay.
apparently, after resolving nothing in their meetings, they put them on a duck tour. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. This is a split group. At
Oh.
the end of it, I had all of them singing sea chanties together. And when they got off the tour, I'm not making this up, it's silly, but they
Mm.
circled around me and they said that they think I should get the Nobel Peace Prize.
You
Ridiculous.
should be part of the negotiating thing, conflict
And
and
they
resolution.
started chanting my name, which
Oh,
and my character name was Penny. They started chanting, "Penny, Penny."
that is, oh my God, that's hilarious. I mean, but then what do you think, Jody? I mean, of course, there is a very serious, component to it
I'm
too. What do you
I'm
think was
not
the
trying to
turning?
downplay the seriousness of it.
Yeah,
Please know
no, no,
that.
but I mean, yeah, but I mean, what do you think was the turning point that do you think it was the humor that got them,
It was
all
humor.
talk?
100%.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what I mean. Yeah,
100%. It was the
yeah,
humor and just my not accepting
right.
that we were not going to be a group. That's part of who I am. I was like, "No, we're doing this. You're here. Be in the moment. I want to be zen with this. Let's do the thing. If you want to go back to this afterwards, that's fine. But right now, this is what we're doing." And it was sort of, guiding them, not commanding, but just saying, "Just do the thing." And they did the thing. And I think that's the lesson in it really is that when you're in a moment, be in the moment,
Right,
right? And sort of if there's something else going on, that's fine, but you can step out of it and
right.
be in the moment and be with people and be in touch with your humanity for a moment if you can. And I mean, I'm not trying to make this a grandiose thing. It's a duck tour, you know what I mean?
No,
I don't
no,
want
no,
to
I know, but
make it bigger than it is, but the lesson is bigger than the event. That's how I view it.
right. And I mean, I mean, they were on the duck tour, we all know the route so yeah, I mean, enjoy it
Yeah,
and as
get on it. Yeah, quack in unison,
enjoy it,
do the thing.
yeah, do the thing.
Quack in
And I know,
unison.
yeah, and I know, Judy, that's something you talk about, and I think this is you mentioned about your book, Hold the Field, and I know you talk about this a lot, being being present. So, talk to us about your book and being present and how you're a keynote speaker. So how did that all evolve?
So the book is born out of it's called Hold the Field,
Mm,
a practice for staying present without disappearing. It's written to a very specific group of people and they know who they are and they know when they read anything I've written, they identify themselves in it. And it's not a book for everyone, but the book is for people who tend to they're called room readers. That's what I'm calling them anyway. And they could be, highly sensitive people or hyper vigilant or other terms people might use, but that one doesn't really fit for me because it sort of pathologizes something I consider a skill. And that's the ability to walk in a room and sense what anyone in the room is feeling almost immediately, which is a wonderful skill. But the skill becomes a burden when you feel like you need to fix anyone who's not okay. And so the book is written for people like that who tend to go into rooms and completely disappear and have no idea about their own state or what they need or what they want because they're so worried about the room and everybody else. That's who it's written for. It's basically about agency over obligation for people
okay,
like that.
okay, okay. And I know you talk about it's built on the APART framework.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
framework
Yeah.
is to help in the moment bring some presence so that you can, because it tends to be a reflex for people like myself where you're not even thinking about what you're doing. You're just doing it. You just automatically do the thing. And so if you can slow things down and first bring awareness to the fact that you are in a room and you might do a thing, that's going to put one step ahead of that reflex where you can ask, well, do I need to fix this? Should I fix this? Do I want to just let it go and not carry what's being asked of me? A
Yeah.
lot of healthcare workers and veterans tend to be these people. And I don't know if it's they go into those fields because they already are those people or they become those people because they go into those fields.
Yeah. Okay. And then what do you say? Because we talk about it all the time, Jody. Oh, we're in this digital and social media age and we can't, put down our phones and we can't be present. I mean, how do you navigate all that with people?
So, it's a side topic, but it's something I do now as I have an off-grid property in Vermont.
Oh,
Uh, and I love it. It's surrounded by 6,000 acres of state forest, and I've learned a lot about presence being there because when you're in the woods, nothing is being asked of you, and so
right.
it's an interesting feeling to just sit and be like, "There's nothing for me to do," and so you learn to just be in the environment and in the moment, and so I've built my I call him my hubbish. We're not married, but we're forever partners. So I call him
Yes,
my hubbish. I said I
I
want
love
a
that.
tiny cabin, and so so he built me a tiny cabin, and that's going to be a cabin for guests to come and stay off grid and experience what it's like to be completely present, completely unplugged, no cell service. And not I know a lot of people can't do it; they won't sign up for it. And I wish the ones that were most afraid of it would, because they're probably the ones that need it the most.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's really a big part of my being present in the world when I am around people is I have a way to escape. And I'm lucky because we have this property, but anyone can do it. You can just step out into the woods or find a spot to sit in your yard and kind of just shut it off. I think
yeah. And
that's
I suppose,
important.
yeah. Oh no, and I mean, it is important. I mean, we're talking every day about well-being and mental health. I mean, every day. And I suppose
Yeah.
people too, Jody, have to just make that conscious effort. I mean, to be
Absolutely.
present and create that space, right?
Absolutely. It's so hard to disconnect from the internet, the social media, all of those things. It's hard to do. We're so conditioned and we have anxiety too when we don't have our phone at our fingertips. But
Yeah,
I think it's worth training yourself to put it down and be comfortable with that.
yeah,
I think it's very important.
yeah. And do you think, or maybe it's unfair for me to, to categorize, but do you think, do you see a difference between, men and women? Are we all guilty of the same, not being present?
Oh, I think yeah, I don't think it's a gender specific
Yeah,
trait way or the other. I think, the suffering can exist on both sides
yeah,
and in
yeah,
varying degrees for both. Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't lean one way or the other on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm probably right. And then, Jody, tell us how we can get your book.
Oh, so the book is available at holdthefield.com. Just spell it out as
Okay.
one word.com. Uh, I'm doing pre-sale now. It's going to print, and I hopefully will have it ready for print to be delivered within a week. That's the goal. Um, and I'm excited. I've had some pre-sales already, and so there's some interest, and there's been great feedback from people who've read some of my writing on Substack, which is Hold the Field and Substack. For people like that identify as room readers, it's been
Oh,
actually, I've had some really beautiful, heartfelt comments that have kind of got me a little choked up. I didn't know that it was going to strike people the way it has. So it's been great.
oh, well done, well done. Um, and then, Jody, of course, you're also a comedian, a stand-up comedian. I was listening to some of your clips, especially how your mom has input in some of your skits. They're hilarious.
Yeah. That woman gave me my sense of humor. I
Oh
mean,
my,
yeah, I had 2 choices in life. I could be completely broken, or I could just turn, my childhood and my lessons into humor, and I'm opting for that always. I feel like, it gives you some control or power over anything, but my mom is a colorful person, and she has definitely contributed to my act in a lot of ways, some voluntarily and some not voluntarily.
You wanted to, I mean, I want to talk about how you got into comedy, and then I know you cared for your mom. But do you want to share the joke about the your tattoo? Because I think that's just,
Sorry.
or maybe it's just because I work in healthcare that I find it so hilarious.
Yeah, so I have one tattoo, and I got this tattoo when I turned 50. But before I got this tattoo, I asked my mother for permission because she's Sicilian and she scares me. So I said, Mom, can I get a tattoo? And her reaction was like that. And I said, Oh, are you mad? And she said, No. I said, Why'd you do that? It looks like you're going to punch me. And she told me, she said, I want to get a tattoo. And I had never heard her say that before. So I was like, What do you mean you want to get a tattoo? She said, All my life I wanted to get a tattoo. And I said, Well, why didn't you get one? She said, Because my parents wouldn't let me. And I said, Well, your parents are dead, so get in the car. So I'm taking my mom to get a tattoo, and I asked her, I said, what are you going to get? And she says she doesn't know, which I was shocked over because I'm like, your whole life you wanted a tattoo and you don't know what you want. So that's when she says, let's get matching tattoos. And I said, absolutely not, because I don't want to end up with a tattoo of a dolphin over my behind. So I told her that we would get sort of matching tattoos. I knew what I was getting. I was getting the 3 initials of the people that mean the most to me. J is for my son, Jake. H is for my daughter, Haley. And the B is for boyfriend, because I usually always have one. And I picked on her 3 initials for her, and hers are DNR. She doesn't know what it means.
You should probably say what it means, because maybe not.
Oh, for anyone watching, DNR means do not resuscitate. And some of you will hate me for that, but my mother thinks it's funny, and that's all that matters.
And that isn't that all that counts, Jody?
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Oh, so oh my goodness. So Jody, how when did you decide, you know what, I think I'm funny, or did people say I'm to you, oh Jody, you're funny, you should get up
Oh.
there? How did you get into the comedy?
Yeah, Martina, this was not a thought in my head. I mean, I was a class clown growing up, but the idea of standing up in front of people gave me anxiety. But then when I did the duck tours, I was doing it every single day, and I was doing a lot of my own humor on tour. And people afterwards would say, You are so funny, you should do stand up. And it was, I just couldn't even believe it. I was like, That was never in my radar. I don't think that. But then I said, you know what? I'm going to try it. So I took a comedy class at
Okay.
Adult Center for Education in Cambridge. And I got paid gigs almost immediately just because of the duck tour experience and being comfortable enough on stage. And it just took off. I mean, on its own. I mean, I took off. I'm, a local New England comedian. I'm not ahead of myself. But I mean, take off meaning I work every weekend now, and it's what I do. It's my job. And I never, ever in a million years would have predicted that.
That's
Yeah, but I love
that's
it.
brilliant. But I mean, as you said, you work every weekend. You're this weekend coming up. I think, are you in Maine?
I'm in Maine tonight. I'm in Maine
Oh,
on Saturday, and tomorrow night I am doing a high school graduation show, which is bizarre, but
that's
whatever.
what kind of material are you going to use for
Well,
that?
they're gonna get to skip health class when I get through with them.
Oh, that's great. And a busy summer then.
The summer tends to slow down, but I'm still pretty busy enough. I'm filming a YouTube series this summer up at my off-grid cabin. So I've had to kind of keep my schedule thin with comedy to do that. So yeah.
Okay. So you'll have to let us know the next time you're in Boston.
Oh yeah, I don't work Boston too much actually. I hate driving into the city, if I'm being honest. After driving in it for 15 years, if I can avoid it, I do.
Right.
But
And it's
if I
probably
am, I'll
worse.
let you
The
know.
traffic was probably worse since you were since you were in
It
the
is
city.
worse. It absolutely is worse.
Oh no, you
Yeah.
have to come back. No, you have to play a gig in Boston.
I'll do it
or,
just for
or do
you.
a gig
Just for
do a gig
you.
in Boston. Yeah, just for
Anyone who's
Manoa.
watching who books rooms in Boston, I need to do a show
Sorry.
in Boston.
Oh, Jody, tell us about the YouTube show.
I will. I'm happy to. I had this crazy idea after we built the off-grid cabin in Vermont. And by the way, this is isolated. It's surrounded by 6,000 acres of state forest. There's no humans. There's just animals. So we built this
And
off-grid.
Jody.
It's tiny, tiny little cabin. And I thought, well, my favorite show is the show Alone. I don't know if you've ever watched it or heard of it. It just puts people out in the middle of nowhere by themselves and they have to survive. And a lot of them have a great skill set when they go in. But I thought, well, how fun would it be to stick a comedian in a cabin with no connectivity, no Wi-Fi, no audience, and they self-film. They're completely alone for 24 hours in the woods. And so that's the premise. It's called the Green Room Unplugged, and
Okay. I love
wh-
it.
it's 6 comedians, one at a time, 24 hours, filming themselves in the woods at this cabin. They're not allowed access to the cabin until the evening. They're outside the whole day. They have some primitive skills they can opt in or out of, starting a fire with a ferro rod, but they can pay their way out of those tasks if they want. So
Okay.
it's kind of fun. We'll see what happens. I have no predictions on who's going to do what, but
Well,
it'll be interesting.
kind of Survivor, right? Is it a little, you have to.
Survivor light. It's,
Le-
what a comedian needs to survive is a lot more than what a lot of people do. So we'll see how they
But
do.
you still have to be creative and kind of use your Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts skills and
They don't have any idea the bug situation.
oh gee. Oh my
The
I'd be
bugs
out. I'd
are
be out. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the bugs are the biggest challenge for them. They don't even know how bad it is. And then we have had a pack of coyotes across the pond. There's a little tiny pond, and across from there, every night the pack of coyotes has been howling and yapping. So they're going to hear that. I mean, I just can't wait to see their reaction to these things.
Maybe they shouldn't listen to this podcast until after
No,
the fact.
I'm not going to let them know about this. Oh, maybe I should let them know and let them get a little jittery. The first
I mean, are
contestant
you
goes up on Monday.
sorry, Jody?
Sorry, the first contestant goes up on Monday, so
And are you, I mean, is this a pilot? Are you hoping that this,
it's yeah, it'll air. We'll put it out on YouTube in the fall because I've got to have it edited, and we'll see what happens with it. I might do this every year with a different set of comedians, or who knows? I
oh,
just a fun project. See what happens.
okay, great. Well, keep us posted. And I'm glad I'm not up there with the bugs.
It's bad. It is bad.
Oh my goodness.
The
But
crickets are going to be the hardest thing for them. That's what comedians can't stand. Crickets. That's the sound you hear in an audience isn't laughing at
oh
your joke.
yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, they were there, oh my God, where are the people?
No, there's none.
There's
And
none.
if you do see a person up there, you should probably be nervous because we
But
don't know who they are or where they came from.
oh my goodness. Oh gee. Well, sounds scary and exciting at the same time.
We'll see. Well, I hope they make it funny. We'll see what they do.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll look forward to watching it.
Thanks.
Uh, and Jody, I mentioned in the intro about you're a keynote speaker. So when you do that, are you all serious or or do you weave in the comedy or what? Tell me what kind of
Do you
what's the
think I'm
format?
always serious, Martina? Do you think I'm always serious? Got a
I
chance.
have this thing in my I don't know when I hear keynote speaker, just see I just hear maybe I'm just pigeon-toed.
No,
I just think
I think people do. Yeah, I think
yes,
people do think serious. The
yes.
content probably, I just started doing this. This is a new
Oh,
thing that I'm doing. I have my I'm an upcoming one on June 22nd for Department of Mental Health, which I'm very excited about. And the topic is healing arts. And so they're letting me talk about comedy as a healing
oh,
not a modality, but is a healing thing for people, not just receiving it, but for comedians themselves. And I think for a lot of us, it is. So that's what I'll be speaking about in a few weeks. But a lot of humor infused in it. I can't do anything with a straight face, really. It's just not my nature.
but I think isn't it good? I mean, because as you said, when we hear, keynote speaker, you just think serious business,
Yeah.
breakfast or, yeah, I know you think of wellness, a keynote speaker for wellness events, but You don't think about, having a comedy component to it.
I think unless unless you're talking about life insurance, even then, I think no matter what you're talking about, I think you should be able to bring humor to it. I think engaging people in that way is important. I think it keeps them listening and actively involved in what you have to say.
Mhm.
I don't think everyone has a knack for it, or it's or
Yeah.
wants to even try, but I think it's a good idea. I'm not. It's not all funny when I do it, but I'm certainly going
No.
to bring some humor in. Yeah,
Yeah. And, we always say, there's nothing like a good laugh.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think that it is, and it's proven. It's science. It's not even
Y-
just
Yeah.
something we say. It absolutely is good for your soul, your mind, everything. It's good. I think it regulates you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Jody, are you ever lonely?
Am I ever lonely?
Because you work by yourself. Are there I mean, I know your
That's a
audiences, I suppose, are they, I
that's
don't know,
an
like your
interesting question. It's a
yeah,
really interesting question. Um, no, no. First of all, my hubby works from home, and
okay.
I had to rent an office just to get away from him. So there's that factor that
I
sometimes when
I
he's
share an
working, I
office
wish
with
I
my
was
husband, but I
lonely.
did until recently, and I know how that goes.
Yeah, like sometimes I wish I was lonely. When he's yapping, I'm like, oh, I wish I was lonely right now. But no, I don't feel lonely. I feel I have some very, very close friends, deep connections with people that have been a lot of them have been in my life for a very long time. And then I really thoroughly enjoy, if you want, I don't know why I like this term, but more superficial interactions. I did a cross country trip several years ago by myself, which was you would think could be lonely. And it wasn't lonely. I was completely alone in this VW camper for 2 months driving across country. But the relationships I had were, I called them the 90-minute relationship, where I would go sit at a bar to have dinner at night and I would just chat with whoever was sitting around me and learn about them and their lives. And it was fulfilling for that. And I didn't feel lonely at all, even though these weren't close connections. Some of the people I'm still in touch with, actually, that I met along the way. But no, I know how to be with people, even in short interactions. So I'm never lonely. I never feel don't know that word actually very well at all, and I'm
Okay.
happy to say that. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. No, because I think sometimes, people, and I work for myself, and, sometimes I say when you don't have colleagues, to kind of bounce ideas off.
Ye-
Yeah.
Yeah. I I get you. I think the comedy community is extremely tight, and you know I feel very connected to them. It's, we're kind of like the island of misfit toys when we're in a green room together. We all kind of get each other on a level that not a lot of people get us. And I think that's definitely a connection, the connection that keeps you from feeling alone in this too. Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
Grateful for
great.
those relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I bet. Jody, do you have any, I guess, concerns about kind of comedy, you know, going forward, without, getting too into the weeds?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Fair
about
question.
censorship and
Sure.
yeah,
Absolutely. I do. And I feel like if we start censoring comedians or canceling comedians, that is it. We're in a world of hurt then. I think that you don't have to like what a comedian is saying. I don't agree with inciting violence at all. Like I'm sort of separating that out. But if I say a joke that you don't like, get over it. Don't come see me again. It's that simple. I am a product. My comedy is a product and I deliver it. And if you don't like it, don't consume it. That's the end of it for me. End of story. I don't believe in censorship. I don't. And if we
yeah,
do censor comedians, we are the ones who, and I'm not a I don't do political comedy or anything too edgy. Some would say I'm dropping the ball because I don't. But I'm a bit of a hedonist in what I do, in that I want to have fun with it and I don't want the strain or stress of all of
well,
what could come if I do that. But those people who do that are very, very important in society. Shine a light on things, get people thinking in ways that they were too rigid to think, or if they're not going to, which this is what we're talking about, that's fine.
Right.
Don't, but also don't cancel.
Yeah,
That's it.
no, I agree. Because then, everything then is just so vanilla, right?
And we've totally, I hope you don't want me to say, we've screwed ourselves
Yeah.
if we do that, because there's no more dialogue. There's no more conversation. There's no, it is vanilla. It is all just controlled. You do not
Right.
want our conversations controlled.
No,
We don't. And comedy is a conversation, actually.
right. Yeah, no, I agree. So we leave it there.
Yeah, see, good enough. Good enough.
I- yeah, but I think a lot of people agree, Jody. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
and that's the beauty of it, right? You don't have to
No,
agree, but you don't get to
no,
cancel.
no. And I mean, isn't it's okay to we say it all the time. It's okay to have a difference of opinion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be
Um.
boring if we were all the same.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Very. And we don't like boring, Jody. You don't, Jody.
No. Like with that color on our lapel. I love it.
No. So, Jody, this has been fabulous. Thank you, for being our host for our wrap up for season 4, and we hope to see you down in Boston.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure and an honor. And this has just it's been really just great to just talk about myself. Just
You can come on anytime and do that here, Jody.